Okay, if you have any desire to actually be a professional photographer who makes money doing the career, like to have a family, maybe keep a house over your head, you're gonna quickly discover that this is not the tool that actually makes you or separates you as a professional photographer from someone that's running around with, say, like an iPhone. There are gonna be certain tools that are gonna become absolutely critical. And what you don't think about is that actually this is going to be one of the single most important tools you have in your kit. This is a flash, a strobe, however you want to call it. This is an off-camera light source that helps you create that professional light painting that separates you and helps you make money to raise a family. And all that being said, when you're talking about strobes and flashes, you can go down a deep rabbit hole of function, of price, of needs, whatever you want to talk about. So what I want to do today is I want to take a look here at what I would consider a Goldilocks flash. And when I say Goldilocks flash, this Flashpoint XPLOR 600 Pro II R2 TTL flash, I just consider this an incredible blend of amazing price point, very, very professional functionality, great build, and packing all the needs that you would need as a professional shooter without compromising to get a great price point. Okay, so now what exactly is the Flashpoint XPLOR 600 Pro II Lite? Well, this is a 600 watt TTL 2.4 gigahertz battery powered all-in-one light. And they build this as an outdoor flash, and really, this thing is a full-powered studio light that you can run anywhere thanks to this really, really detachable lithium-ion battery. And because this thing is a 600 watt light, this basically gives you the power that if you need to, you can actually overpower the sun and get really, really interesting lighting pretty much anywhere you go. I'm gonna show you a picture I took of my son here, where I have one picture where I made sure to use this flash and expose for the background, and then I had another shot where I want to take the background down, and look at this. I was able to get so much juice from this light, I could basically overpower the midday. I took this shot at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, was able to overpower that background light and basically get a nice dark subject. Now, one note about the Flashpoint system, these are exclusive to Adorama, which is one of, I would consider, the premier camera shops really in North America, but definitely pretty much in the world. They're reliable, you know what you get from them, and they have this company of Flashpoint that they make exclusively for Adorama. The good news is that these are essentially Godox lights that have just been branded as Flashpoint lights to go with the Adorama system. Now, one note about this, Adorama did reach out to me and asked me to review this. I am partnering with them, so just a fantastic partnership because I love the company, but they don't get to review this beforehand. I'm not getting paid for this. They just sent me this light and wanted to get my honest opinion about it, and that's what I'm doing this video about. Now, because these are basically Godox lights, this means these flash points are compatible with any Godox lights you may already have sitting around. Now, the first thing you need to learn about this light is that it is designed right out of its bat for ease of use and portability. And that means you can literally take this anywhere in the world. And the reason why is because of this. It has a rechargeable lithium-ion battery. You can quick charge this in about 2 hours. And here's the thing, it is swappable. So if you run out of power, all you gotta do is put a new one in, pop it in, click it, and you are good to go. Now, this battery packs a pretty good amount of juice to it. If you have this thing at the full output range of 1-to-1 power, you can get 360 full power flashes on a single charge on this battery. Realistically, most of us are not shooting these things at full power, and what I've found for me from a practical standpoint, if I have this thing set to more realistic settings, say 1/16 power, 1/32 power, stuff like that, I can really run one battery and get pretty much an entire day without any problem. However, if you are worried about that, the good news is that you can easily buy a second battery. They come individually and have 2 in your kit, and you can just swap out if you're worried, just like you would on a camera battery. Now, in addition to the battery system, if I spin this around, you're gonna notice something really cool about this. Notice there are no wires or cables hanging from this in any way, shape, or form. And that's because this is a wirelessly controlled flash, which is gonna be really, really important, especially if you're not in a studio environment. You wanna be able to control all your lights wirelessly. And what's really nice here is that it's controlled here. I'm gonna take this off by this R2 Nano flash trigger. And this thing has a thing called a one-tap sync feature, which is if you cut this on, this flash is just going to instantly recognize it. And as you can see, it's super easy to connect, instantly hooks up. So this is just a really, really versatile ecosystem, and it is powerful. This has an ultra reliable built-in 2.4 gigahertz wireless R2 remote system. That means you can get 260 feet of distance and still flash your trigger. And remember, because this thing is wireless, that means that I can, of course, control it wirelessly. So if I hit my camera trigger, boom, my flash will go off. But what I really love about this system is if you look here, it's got this really nice LED display right here on top of your camera. So literally I can just hit that one. I wanna go in A, and I can just easily sit there and dial in and control whatever I want here from the light. I can set the channel, I can set basically the light level, I can set if it's manual or TTL, which we'll talk about in just a second. So it's really, I can control this light, I can be 200 plus feet away, control everything about this and never have to physically touch the light. It's a great, great system. It's something that really makes a huge difference in how you can run in a day. I've shot this thing literally in the middle of big city streets. It has given me no problem whatsoever. The wireless features are very, very nice. The other thing that is really, really great about this is going to be the recycle time and your flash modes and the flash duration that you have on this. Now, this thing has a very, very fast flash duration. It has a 0.9 second at full power, and when you go down to lower levels, it can go up to 0.01 recycle time. This recycle time is something that you probably don't think of if you're just getting into business, but if you're shooting professionally, becomes super, super critical when you're out there shooting. Because a lot of times you're working with models and stuff, you want the motion to go, you want to be capturing the motion as it happens. You don't want to be sitting around waiting for your flash to go, because there's nothing more frustrating than having that perfect frame or shot and your flash didn't go off because you're in between it recycling. And I want to show you just how fast this works at full power. So, you know, as you can see here, I've got this thing set here for, I'm gonna set this down here. I'm gonna use my remote here for just, let's do something like maybe a 1/32 power, which I think is pretty realistic. Now, if I sit here and I shoot that off, look at that. It's almost like it's just ready to go. I can take as many shots as I need to, and I'm not going to sweat it. So this is absolutely fantastic because I know I can run out on a shoot and capture everything, and I'm not gonna have those missed shots. Now, even at 1:1 power, I'm gonna put this, I think, all the way up here at 1:1 power. So you'll see here now it's at 1:1 power. We'll go ahead now, I'm gonna shoot this off and let you see the recycle time. I'm gonna shoot, and boom. There's just under a second. 1001, it's gonna pop back on, right? So just about a second. So even at full power, you get a second refresh. Now, I don't find myself often having to go out there and go at full power. So, you know, even if I wanna do like half power, which is still super powerful on a light, let me pop this up here to half power just so you can see it. You're gonna see here, I'm gonna pop this up here to half power, which is a very, very powerful light. Boom, you're gonna see now just how fast that recycles there. So I can really, really get a ton of power and that's super psych speakable. And like I said, once you set this thing down into a lower one, like I'm gonna do I find myself doing 1/16 power a lot if I'm outside in bright situations. Well, look at that. I mean, you can basically just shoot nonstop. It just goes off. I'm gonna do that. So you can see just how fast this thing recycles. So that recycle mode is one of the most important things I think you should consider when you're looking at getting a light for professional commercial applications. Now, another feature that is important for a lot of photographers, not so much for me because in my model photography, I find that this works just great, but you do want to have a situation where your flash duration can be important, especially if you're in a situation where you want to just get that critical like freeze or capture motion super sharp, like someone jumping, maybe have ice cubes hitting water, something like that. You just want to get that perfect freeze. Well, then you're going to want your flash duration to be very, very important. And one thing I like here is if you look at the light here, it gives you a very, very clear, I have 1/16 power, but it's also telling me that this is a 1/3550 flash duration. So I know I got that. Now, what's cool about this light is you can actually come in here, and if you come to your flash mode, they have something called a freeze mode. And what this does, this essentially allows you to really, really shorten the flash duration to get those super crisp things you need if you really just need to freeze the motion. You will see now that's changed to 1/8060th of a second at 1/16 power. And if you have the lower ones, you're gonna have that. Now, if I go up to full speed, it's gonna be about the same. And what you have with this freeze mode, it does sacrifice a little bit of the power of the flash to get you that faster sync mode. So that's gonna be something that if you find yourself needing that ability just to completely freeze the motion super high, this thing gives you that professional application. If you don't need it, take it off and just use it for normal flash stuff, which is what I would typically do. And it has a high-speed sync that can go up to 1/8,000th of a second for high-speed sync flash if that's something you find yourself needing as a professional shooter. All right, and if you're gonna talk about this, let's go ahead and talk about what kind of power range you do have about this. One thing that I found really, really useful about this light was that it has 9 stops of control. You can go all the way up to 1:1, and then look at this. If I dial this all the way down, I can go all the way to 1/512. And what's really nice about this is these are incremental stops. So you can see I can really dial that in increments. So I can go 128.6, 7.2, 164th, and what you're gonna find is that this gives you that precision control that separates a professional light from honestly something that doesn't quite give you that professional type look that you want. And you may say like, yeah, you want the full power here to stop the sun. Why would you want 1/512th? Well, a lot of times when you're using a flash, you don't wanna call attention to the fact that you're using a flash. You wanna use it for a subtle fill. You almost wanna make it feel invisible, but you still wanna get that moment of freezing. You want to highlight something and not call attention to it. And having that ability to have this paintbrush of light that gives you all those steps is very, very important. And I found myself a lot in studio light. A lot of these lights will stop at like 1/128. I don't need 1/120th of power. It is still too much power. So this giving you that full ability to go all the way down to 1/512 really gives you the full spectrum of light paintbrushes to get those professional looks that you want and you're paying for in a light like this. Now, as the XPLOR 600 Pro II TTL name suggests, this is a TTL flash. Now, if you don't know what TTL means, that means this is a through the lens flash. And the Flashpoint is compatible with Canon, Sony, Nikon, Fujifilm, Panasonic, Olympus. All those systems work with this light. And if you're unfamiliar with TTL, this is the best way to describe it, I would say, is this is kind of like an auto setting for your flash. And what happens is the flash will send out like a pre-flash, and your camera will then read the amount of light coming through the lens, and then the camera and the flash will compute together what it considers the appropriate amount of flash output for you to get a correct exposure. So if you're someone that's in a fast-moving situation, or maybe you're just not that familiar with how flashes work and you're still learning, TTL is going to be a really, really nice feature to have. But the good news is, if you're like me who wants to be a manual shooter and completely tell the flash what to do because it doesn't like auto on anything, well, you can easily set this to manual, and it also has multi-flash options. The other thing I really like about this is the color is really, really stable. It's a 5600 Kelvin temperature, and really there's only about a plus minus variation, about 75K. And I found just from doing shoots now with this, that this thing was very, very reliable in the color cast. And that's something that has burned me in the past with cheaper lights, is that I found a lot of cheaper flashes tend to have a very, very dominant blue kind of color cast to them. And this honestly has led me to hours and hours of extra work in post. Now, there's another important factor of this light that's just a really, really nice professional little tool that helps you, that I think is so critical, especially if you're working with a wireless light. And that is actually, you can group these, but they have a great light indicator to let you know where they are grouped. And I'm gonna show you why that matters. So you can actually have 16 different groups based on this light. But if you look here, if I come to the grouping system, you can see if I come down, if I change from, say, a group A to B, look how the light changes color as I cycle through. And what I love about that is that I can go and very, very easily be at a distance and know visually which light my group is in. And this becomes very, very important once you start getting in a situation where you start to have multiple flashes. And you will, if you start making money from a camera, start using multiple flashes. And what I really like about this Flashpoint system is because they have these lighting indicators letting you know what group it is, you can literally be across the room. You don't have to walk over the light to figure out which light it is. Right away, once I started using it, it became just instantly usable, and I really like that. And the fact you can do up to 16 groups means you can really finesse and dial in your light and get it exactly the way that you want it to. Okay, now there's another really interesting feature about this XPLOR 600 Pro 2 that I think a lot of you will probably appreciate. And that is the fact that this flash, I've never seen this before, honestly, in a flash. It comes with a modeling light, which isn't surprising, but it's actually by color. So you can actually adjust this from 2800 Kelvin all the way up to 6000 Kelvin. And it's a pretty decent sized power too. It's about a 38 watt equivalent, 40 watt tungsten equivalent. So if I come here and click on the modeling light, of course it cuts on, check this out. I can dial this in intensity all the way up to 100%. And this thing's got some really, really good kick, of course, at 100%, what I really like. But what I really like about this too, if I dial this down here, if I hit this button one more time, check this out. I can dial down the intensity. So you can see here, I'm obviously making it 2800, which is really, really warm, or I can take it all the way up to 6000. This is actually a really, really cool feature because let's say I'm in a situation where maybe I want to see an idea of what the light is going to do. This gives me a good idea of previewing how the light's gonna act on a subject. The other thing I can do is if I'm in a situation where, let's say I am in a place where I need a supplemental light source. This actually allows me a bicolor light that I can do to fill shadows or just kind of add an additional light if I need one in an emergency that works more as a continuous light source. Now, another important feature of this that I think everyone is out there shooting or going to want to know about is the type of mount it is. And luckily, this is just a standard Bowens mount type light. It comes with this reflector dish, which comes with the light itself. But the great thing is, if you have any kind of softbox or any kind of Bowens modifier, which most of us have tons of laying around, what this means is you don't have to spend a bunch of new money on new peripherals and things like that and modifiers. You know you can take what you've already had and run with it. In addition to this modifier, it's got a really nice feature that I like here, and that is it's got an umbrella holder built right here into the actual light handle itself. And what's nice about this thing has a lot of good friction and resistance in it. So you can say, let's say you want to go and have a really light, quick setup because you're out on a city street and going. You can easily put an umbrella on this, slip it right in there, and what's nice, it's got a tightening mark here for it. You can tighten that in. It's not going to blow away. All right, now let's take a look at the build and the basic function of this light. One thing you're going to notice when you start off with this is that it's got a very, very good solid, it's hard plastic, but it's got a good solid build. I've taken this on multiple shoots with me and it's held up really well. So I think it's got a good construction to it. It's got a nice handle here on the back that makes it easy to carry. And it's got a nice yoke here that super good grip, get on your hand and lets you dial in the angle of your light. Now the stand handle right here is, I would say this is definitely designed to be used on a hand. You can hand hold it and do it like that, but I do find this to be just a little short for handheld shooting. So if you are out there and going to be running around in a handheld situation, you're going to want a stand or some kind of monopod or something like that to attach it to just to keep your life nice and easy. But it does have two screw points here where you can decide where you want your screws to go and then just attach it here to your stand and you're basically good to go. Now to operate this thing, it's pretty simple. Now you can use this Flashpoint Nano 2 to wirelessly control the camera. I'm going to show you that in a second. But in addition to that, you just hold down the power button here, and then it's got this kind of safety unlock. Just roll it, pop it off. Kind of nice to know this thing's not going to accidentally get triggered when you're in luggage or something like that. And then basically, you can see it's a pretty straightforward setup. You can sit there, dial in your power right here on the flash itself. There's a modeling light button where if you hold that down, you can trigger on a modeling light. And if you come up here, you have a menu button, which is really gonna let you access a lot of the professional features that you're going to want to like. And as you can see right here, you basically can power the light from right here if you want to power it straight up. And the great thing about this is most of the main features you're going to want, like if you want to have TTL or manual or whatever the power mode is here, you can sit there and can control right here from this Nano 2, and it's right on top of your camera, so you can sit here shooting your things, controlling the light from across the way, and not have to actually touch it. So the whole system just works together very, very seamlessly. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about when you're looking at a flash system like this is going to be the price of the system. Now, there's no doubt that when you're looking at investing in a system like this, it is going to be an investment. And because one thing I love about strobes versus, say, cinema lights is that I get these and I know this is gonna last me for a decade or more than that. I use these things for a long time. Worst case scenario, sometimes you have to replace the bulb on there. This bulb is replaceable. But the good news about this is that to get these kind of professional features on a strobe, it's gonna cost you 3 to 4 times as much if you're looking at getting like a Profoto or something like that. And that's what really impressed me, is that for 1/3 of the cost of like a Profoto system, I got almost every single thing I wanted. I got great color consistency. I got, honestly, every professional function I could personally want from a light. I got super quick recycle times at 1/3 of the cost. And it's going to make such a huge difference in your game. It is an investment that if you're thinking about getting into, you should seriously consider adding to your arsenal. Now, whenever I do a review of any product, I always like to point out what I would consider any rooms of improvement for the product. And this Flashpoint packs so much into it, I don't really have a huge amount of areas to point out. I mean, the one thing that I would point out that is it's not really a room for improvement, it's definitely something that you should be aware of, is just the fact that this is a fairly heavy light. So, I mean, it's not crazy heavy, but just know you're going to need to have an assistant when you go out there, and you're going to need to have a sturdy stand. Because this handle is not, super long to handhold, you really do need to have some kind of way to extend it. I would recommend a small light stand or a monopod or something like that that can let you do that. And really the only other area of improvement that I would point out, just so you're aware of, is I love the amount of power you can get from this light. I love this battery that comes with it, so it gets you a lot of punch to it. But I have found that, if I'm in a situation where I'm in a really bright environment, 360 full powered flashes, I will go through this battery fairly quickly. So I would recommend, like I said, if you're shooting on a lower power thing, this thing will last you pretty much all day. But if you know you're gonna be in an environment where you're gonna be shooting lots and lots of full powered flashes, make sure you pick up a second battery, just so you know you have that in the kit and you're not sweating what your power situation is. Not a power if you're lower, but if you're doing full power flashes, you may run into some issues if you're doing like a long full day shoot. But anyway, guys, this is just an absolutely incredible piece of gear that if you get it, I think is going to absolutely change how you approach and shoot photography, and more importantly, make more money and make a career from it. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me notes and comments down below, and yeah, go out there, keep on shooting, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.